Apple Computer Incorporated is largely responsible for the enormous growth of the personal computer industry in the 20th century. The introduction of the Macintosh line of personal computers in 1984 helped to establish the company as an innovator in industrial design, whose products were renowned for their intuitive ease of use. The company designs, manufactures, and markets personal computers and software, concentrating on lower costs and uniquely designed computers. Apple was founded on April Fool's Day in 1976 by Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. Both were college dropouts. Their partnership began many years earlier when Wozniak, a very talented and self-taught electronics engineer, began to build boxes that allowed him to make long-distance calls for free. In 1976, Wozniak was working on another box, the Apple I computer, without keyboard or power supply for a computer hobbyist club. Jobs and Wozniak sold a van and 2 calculators to raise $1,300 with which to start their new company. A local retailer ordered 50 of the computers, which were built in Jobs' garage. They eventually sold 200 to computer hobbyists in the San Francisco Bay Area for $666 each. Later that summer, Wozniak began work on the Apple II, designed to appeal to more than computer hobbyists. Jobs hired local computer enthusiasts, many of whom were still in high school, to assemble circuit boards and design software. Early microcomputers had usually been housed in metal boxes, but Jobs planned to make the Apple II a more attractive module with a plastic container. Jobs recruited Regis McKenna, owner of one of the most successful advertising public relations firms, to devise an advertising strategy for the company. McKenna designed a logo and began to advertise in consumer magazines. Apple's professional marketing team placed the Apple II in retail stores, and by June of 1977, annual sales had reached $1 million. It was the first microcomputer to use color graphics with a television set as the screen. By 1978, Wozniak had invented the Apple Disk II, at the time the fastest and cheapest disk drive offered by any computer manufacturer. The introduction of Apple II with a user manual at a consumer electronics show signaled that Apple was expanding further than just the hobbyist market to make its computer. By the end of 1978, Apple was one of the fastest growing companies in the United States, with its products carried by over 100 dealers. In 1979, Apple introduced the Apple II Plus, with more memory than the Apple II and an easier startup system. VisiCalc, the first spreadsheet for microcomputers, was also released that year. By the end of the year, sales were up 400% from 1978 at over 35,000 computers. Apple Fortran, introduced in March of 1980, led to further development of software, particularly technical and educational applications. The company, fearful that Apple II would soon be outdated, put time pressures on the designers of the Apple III. Despite the fact that sales of the Apple II more than doubled to 78,000 in 1980. The Apple III was well received when it was released in September at $3,495. However, the Apple III released without adequate testing, and many units were defective. Production was halted and the problems were fixed, but the Apple III never sold as well as the Apple II. Despite the problems with Apple III, the company forged ahead, tripling its 1981 research and development budget to $21 million, releasing 40 new software programs, opening European offices, and putting out its first hard disk. By January of 1882, 650,000 Apple computers had been sold worldwide. In December of 1982, Apple became the first personal computer company to reach $1 billion in annual sales. Lisa Computer introduced the mouse and displayed pictures on the computer screen that substituted for keyboard commands. These innovations came out of Jobs' determination to design an unintimidating computer that anyone could use. Unfortunately, the Lisa did not sell as well as Apple had hoped. Apple was having difficulty designing the elaborate software to link together a number of Lisas. The production division for Lisa had been vying with Jobs' Macintosh division. The Macintosh personal computer offered Lisa's innovations at a fraction of the price. Jobs saw the Macintosh as a people's computer, designed for people with little technological knowledge. The Macintosh was seen as the future of the company. Launched with a television commercial in January of 1984, the Macintosh was unveiled soon after, with a price tag of $2,495 and a new 3-inch disk drive that was faster than the 5-inch drives used in other machines, including the Apple II. Apple sold 70,000 Macintosh computers in the first 100 days. In September of 1984, a new Macintosh was released with more memory and 2 disk drives. Over the next 6 months, Apple released numerous products for the Macintosh, including a laser printer and a hard drive. The Macintosh personal computer finally moved Apple into the business office market. Scully and his team saw that competitors were relying increasingly on the user-friendly graphics that had become the Macintosh signature, and recognized that Apple needed to introduce smaller, cheaper models, such as the Classic and the LC, which were instant hits. Apple also experimented with the interweaving of sound and visuals in the operations of its computers. In September of 1997, Apple's board of directors named Jobs interim chief executive officer. Apple's recovery occurred during the ensuing months. Jobs assumed his responsibilities with the same passion and understanding that had made Apple one of the greatest success stories in business history. He eliminated 15 of the company's 19 products, withdrawing Apple's involvement in making printers, scanners, portable digital assistants, and other peripherals. From 1997 forward, Apple would focus exclusively on desktop and portable Macintoshes for professional and consumer customers. Distressed by his company's lack of popular computers that retailed for less than $2,000, Jobs tapped Apple's resources and 10 months after the project began, unveiled the massively successful iMac, a sleek and colorful computer that embodied Apple's skills in design and functionality. Because of Jobs' restorative efforts, Apple excited the 1990s as a pared-down version of its former self, but importantly, a profitable company once again. By the decade's end, interim was dropped from Jobs' corporate title, signaling Jobs' return to the permanent basis and fueling optimism that Apple could look forward to a decade of vibrant and constant growth, which it then achieved.